Okay, now more items in the room that you should be paying attention to. You see a can of butane here. Number one, kids don't normally have butane in their rooms. And one of the reasons that this is here is because when we talked wax and concentrates, this is a very popular form of extracting those waxes and those resins off of marijuana as using butane. It's a very dangerous form too, which is blowing people up and killing people all across the country. So that's why we see the butane. But then also you see a few different items here. You see a balloon. You see something that they call a cracker, this little device here. And then you also see this little canister. A lot of people think it's a CO2 canister because they look really similar. This particular one's what they call a whippet. This is known as a whippet as street level. It's nitrous oxide. With the whippet, what happens is they open the cracker and then they put the whippet inside of the cracker, and then what happens is the cracker extracts basically the nitrous oxide out. They put the balloon on, put the nitrous into the balloon, and then huff the nitrous oxide from the balloon. That's the dangerous part of this. The problem is for the kids out there that are doing it, what happens is they are taking the oxygen from their brain, and that's how they end up overdosing and sometimes dying from it. So it's a very, very dangerous thing that they're doing. Some kids think it's funny, some kids think it's not dangerous at all. It's extremely dangerous. You also see a watch here. This watch, kind of similar to the one I'm wearing, has a large face on it. It just looks like a standard watch. This watch here happens to actually be a grinder. If you twist the little knob here and then you take it off, let me twist it a little more, and then this face actually will come off of it there, and the face of the watch is actually working. So this is a functional watch. Some of these watches actually have stash compartments. This one is actually made to be a grinder, which is where they'll grind up marijuana and then smoke it, use the rolling papers or something like that, and then to smoke it. Now there's some items here that can be popular in the designer drug world. First and foremost, you see some of these little bracelets. A lot of times these little bracelets that have multiple colored beads on them, you want to look closely at the beads. Sometimes the beads, the colored beads, will have something written on it or a letter on it. But also, like this one says Pop Molly. Molly, I'll show you more stuff about it later, but Molly is a street level term for the drug ecstasy. You see this one right here. This one says Plur, stands for peace, love, unity, respect. In some cases, that can also be a designer drug or a popular culture term also. You see some of these pacifiers. Now, pacifiers were really popular. Look back in the day, they're not as popular now, but you still see this pacifier here, and it has strobing lights, very fluorescent lights. Popular for when people are on designer drugs or when people are on some type of hallucinogen type drug. These items are very, very popular in the drug world. Also, the necklaces with mushrooms in them. Mushrooms a lot of times carry the street level connotation of psilocybin mushrooms, which is also a hallucinogen, or other designer hallucinogen type drugs. You see some more of the bracelets that just have more stuff beaded in them. So you want to be paying attention to that stuff. You want to be paying attention to the pacifiers, stuff on keychains. Sometimes you see these little masks right here. These masks are popular at some designer drug type events also, or designer drug type concerts, stuff like that. You want to be paying attention to some of that stuff. Now again, when we talk about everything being person specific, it can be difficult by just looking at something and trying to figure out what it means to your child. And I can't hammer it home enough. That's why you have multiple conversations with your kids and ask them, what does this mean to them, and really start understanding how all this plays into their life. These tubes right here just look like tampons, but you can find these all across the country. They're not actually tampons. What they are is little tubes that can be filled, and it actually says booze on it. It can be filled with some type of liquid. You put it back in. A little sticky part here comes off, so you get rid of that, and then you can close it up and then seal it. And people might think it's a tampon, but it's actually made to store alcohol in. I'll show you a couple of other alcohol things later, but this is just to kind of open your eyes to some of the products that are actually out there that you weren't so well aware of. So again, going into some of the retail locations your kids go to is very important.